Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to a new week here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And I am your host, your guide, as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and on Simul TV, Channel 21. If you would like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And if you'd like to find out about the programming we have available for you on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net, and for the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV, www.simultv.com, Channel 21. Our guest this hour, X-Zone Nation, is Bryan Sentes, and he is a scholar and a poet based in Montreal, Quebec. With Susan Palmer, he published a well-received, widely published, and widely taught study of flying saucer religions, the most recent version of which is included in the Cambrian Companion to New Religious Movements. And joining me now from the most beautiful city in the world, Montreal, Quebec, is Bryan Sentes. And Bryan, welcome to the X-Zone.
Hello. Good to be here.
Nice having you with us. What got you involved into the UFO phenomenon?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think maybe it's like a lot of people, as a boy, of course, I read a lot of the UFO books. I remember actually as a school, we were taken to see Close Encounters of the Third
Oh,
Kind.
yeah.
And I remember being glad about how they actually had J. Allen Hynek in the climactic scene at the end. I recognized him. And I was nice to sort of see how the aliens were based on the real reports. That was just before high school. And in high school, things sort of faded for a while. But back in the early 90s, when alien abductions were sort of making the news, at the time when the Human Genome Project, human cloning, in vitro fertilization were making the news, it kind of struck me that the women who were giving the stories of alien abduction under hypnosis usually were actually giving more of a dream narrative that expressed the sort of anxieties and aspirations around this new technology. And from there, it just occurred to me that, the stories about UFOs and ETs is kind of a collective dream, if you will, of the anxieties and aspirations of our technological society. So it struck me, like Saul on the road to Damascus in a flash in the early 90s. And I've been sort of, I dived back into it then, delivered that paper that you mentioned at the beginning back in 2000. And I've been working in the field ever since.
Now, I'm sure a lot of people, when we talk about UFO religions, there's Heaven's Gate. And of course, here in Canada, there's also the International Alien Movement. Why do you think these two UFO-based religions, took off so much? And why do, the aliens, they still have a worldwide following? Why are they still able to attract followers?
Well, that's the argument of the paper we delivered. And as weird and far out and marginal as the Raelian belief system is, at the end of the day, it's perfectly in harmony with the values and the worldview at the very center of our civilization. Because what they do is they value science above all. They see technology as ultimately solving all of the problems that technology leads to. And their worldview is one which is purely immanent. There's no more supernatural realm. There's no more transcendent realm. Everything happens within nature, which is true in its own weird way in the New Age, where there's different sort of levels of vibratory energy. I think there's 14 of them. So that would be the main reason. As well, they're a fun-loving bunch. I don't know how much you know about the Raelians, but they place a great value on sexual freedom.
Yeah, they certainly do.
I don't doubt that's a selling point.
How many different UFO-based religions are there?
Oh, that's a good question. There are, there's the Raelians, there's Unarius, there's Aetherius, there's the I Am. These are the ones I know, of course, Heaven's Gate, as you mentioned. There's the Ashtar Command, so there's sort of channeling groups. And there are many others that are very, very small. And then with the advent of the internet, a lot of them have been had more of a digital profile than a physical profile. So in terms of like strictly flying saucer religions, that's a good question. There's at least a dozen, probably more. But my research has sort of focused more on the UFO phenomenon in general than the very, very specific religious expressions.
So based on your research, are UFOs those little lights in the sky that many people claim that they come from the Pleiades or some other far-out planet across the universe? Based on your research and your studies, are they real or are they a figment of our imagination based on the technological presence and where we are in today's societies with our stresses and everything else that goes along with day-to-day living?
Well, I'd have to say probably both in a sense. On the one hand, a figment of the imagination is real too. I know I'm playing with the words a little bit there.
Right.
If you're asking, are they spaceships from Zeta Reticuli or the Pleiades?
Yes.
I find that highly dubitable for a number of reasons that we might get into. I think it truly is the case that at the end of the day, I agree with Jacques Vallée that there is a hardcore, mysterious, real, physical phenomenon What it is a very good question. It is both physical and sort of transcendent in a way, that it kind of plays with the rules of physics in strange ways. But at the end of the day, it's probably a great mix of, as you remarked, our technologically based anxieties and aspirations projected onto things that we see in the sky, lights we can't identify. And then amid all that is certainly something very, very strange, whose nature I do not know.
Without any substantial proof or any physical proof, why do people believe in something that can't be proven?
Well, that's a very good question. I think the reason is going to be a kind of a psychological or emotional reason. Unconsciously, what's happening here is that we see ourselves. We see what we want to be. We see what we imagine ourselves to be in these stories. So in the 1950s and 60s, when flying saucers were landing primarily in Europe,
right,
and the little guys came out in their diving suits taking soil samples and plant samples, well, this sort of was an image that we would just see on the moon later, and things that we imagined that we would be doing on Mars in the near future. So in this way, it's got a lot to do with like projection. That would be my nutshell explanation.
Okay. But, you know, when we look at the UFO phenomenon, we have people who then take it from just the UFO aspect, and then there's contact, then there's alien abductions. You've got the Men in Black, the hypothetical situation where there are UFOs and extraterrestrials in Area 51. How did it grow so much?
Oh, this is a beautiful story. That's a good question. I don't know if there's an authoritative answer that anyone can give you. The last thing it is aliens with underground bases working with American scientists to develop anti-gravity technology, Stephen Greer notwithstanding. What is the case, and you get this in a great book by Mark Pilkington called Mirage Men, is it becomes very clear very quickly that the American Air Force, at the very least, picked up on the UFO mythology and began to use it for various intelligence ends. So, for example, there's the very sad story of Paul Benovitz.
All right, what we're going to do here is I'm just going to hold you off here. I have to take my first break. And it's a bit of a cliffhanger. Let's look at it this way, Exonation. Exonation, our guest this hour is Bryan Sentes. He is in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And if you'd like to find out more about Bryan, visit his website at www.skunkworksblog.com. That's www.skunkworksblog.com. And Bryan and I will be back on the other side of this very short commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shaman worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Exonation Bryan sent us as our special guest this hour, www.skunkworksblog.com. Bryan, before we went to the break, you just started to tell us a very interesting story, and if you would please continue that story.
Yeah, it's a very well-known story. Paul Benovitz was a contractor with the American Air Force. He lived near an American Air Force base near Dulce, New Mexico. He began to pick up strange radio signals on his equipment and to see strange lights in the mountains near the Air Force base. He contacted the Air Force base to let them know about this, and they told him that it was actually aliens. It turned out that, in fact, they were testing very highly top secret communications technology.
Yeah.
And so rather than reveal that, they fed him this line. Sadly, it led to Paul Benovitz having a kind of a nervous breakdown at the end of the day. Yeah, it's a very, very sad story. There's a book all about it whose author eludes me right now. Project Blue something. I'd have to look it up. I'm sorry.
No problem.
At any rate, so I think that the stories about crashed UFOs, retrieved UFOs, alien abductions, and so on, this is a mythology that really only occurs in the 1980s and then with a fury in the 1990s. And it had a lot to do with apparently a kind of either a misinformation or disinformation campaign or a ploy by some members of the UFO community to make a buck.
Yeah.
I've heard both stories. And it's good. It's a good story. It makes it into the films now.
It sure does.
Yeah. So I think that's where that comes from. That's where these stories come from. And I know that some people would disagree with me, but it seems the more rational explanation to me.
It does. But you see, rationality and ufology doesn't go together.
Well, ufology, like a lot of disciplines, if we can call it a discipline, includes a lot of kinds of people.
Yep.
Yep. On the one hand, like I say, you've got real hardcore researchers like Peter Sturrock, who is a physicist, Jacques Vallée, whom I tend to respect a great deal, J. Allen Hynek himself, again, an academic, and then other people. I won't name many names, but they're given to sort of more extreme views and more fictitious views, to my mind. As a group of people, it itself is a very interesting topic for a sociological study. There's a scholar in England who just published a book, and he hung out with Whitley Strieber and company, and a couple other UFO and New Age groups. David Icke, for example, is kind of an ethnological study. And that's very, very interesting, and sort of see what people believed, why they believed it. He was actually able to hand out surveys to sort of find out some information. So it's irrational, but human beings are irrational. right? By their very nature. You know, one thing that caught the American government by surprise when the Soviet Union collapsed was the fact that they believed, because so many of them were born again Christians, that the Russians were the Gog and Magog of the Book of Revelations, and they were going to lead to World War III and the return of Christ. So it's not just ufology that's got people with less than rational beliefs in it.
Well, you see, religion's been around a lot longer than ufology has been, and I've got my own little idea of the UFO conspiracy. You see, I don't think it's the government that is perpetrating or maintaining a conspiracy, or the church, the Vatican, or any other organization except the UFO community. Because as long as there's a conspiracy in place, they do not have to provide any proof, because the truth is being hidden and suppressed. Therefore, the organizational structure of the ufology continues and cannot be debated.
Well, the beautiful irony of your theory there is that if you go, say, to the Disclosure website that's run by Stephen Greer and company, they have hundreds and hundreds of so-called whistleblowers. The great irony is that, first of all, look, this idea of a cover-up and eventual disclosure goes back to the earliest days of the modern era. Donald Kehoe's very first book, The Flying Saucers Are Real, points this out, and he wrote a book called The Flying Saucer Conspiracy. And so what's strange is there's always been this idea that the government knows what's going on, the Air Force knows what's going on. They're not telling us, but they're going to slowly reveal it to us. While at the same time, you have this story, right, of the cover-up being told to Donald Kehoe by insiders. You have these files being leaked, being discovered, being released under the Freedom of Information Act. You have these whistleblowers. This is one of the worst kept secrets in the history of the modern world.
All right, but let's be honest. In today's society, if, let's say, a country unfriendly to the United States wanted to have such an effect on the political arena and cause total distrust within the United States, all they would have to do is hack into the U.S. computers, find unequivocal proof that UFOs are real, and release it. But that hasn't happened, and I don't give Stephen Greer very much credit. I really don't. I really don't. And all his little whistleblowers and all the little people who say that the government is out to get them, I think that these people need psychological help, not by the woo-woos on the internet. I mean hardcore mental practitioners, because I think they have screw looses.
Yeah. Listen, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think the whistleblowers are really revealing anything.
Yeah.
And if they are, they're either well, again, it's hard to say.
Yeah, it is.
Either they're lying, they're fabulating, they've been lied to, right? But keep in mind, there was a very famous case of a British hacker a few years ago who were claimed to have broken into, I think, NASA and downloaded precisely the kind of information you're talking about. But of course, that's the kind of honeypot that if you were an IT specialist, you'd want to have in place precisely for the people who go looking for it.
But we also know for a fact that China and Russia have hacked into the U.S. government computers.
Yes.
And they have released very damaging information. So, and I'm sure the U.S. is no better when it comes to hacking other countries' computers. That, if they found the information that, let's say, Russia or China was suppressing the truth about UFOs, that there would be hackers who would release it. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. On the one hand, the people who believe in the conspiracy, they've always got an answer to that.
Oh, sure they do.
And one answer is that the Russians and the Chinese and the Americans are all in cahoots with the aliens. On the other hand, the Russians and Chinese or any other unfriendly foreign power doesn't need to turn the people against the American government. One of the really unnerving aspects of this whole story is the way that the UFO conspiracy community dovetailed in with the sort of militia movement, right, in the 90s, the people involved with Waco and the Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah.
Timothy McVeigh, in the days leading up to his execution, watched the film Contact 6 times. And of course, the the locus classicus, as we learned people would say, is, of course, Bill Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse, Behold a Pale Rider, right? This book from 1990, which is a nightmare synthesis of precisely this anti-government, posse comitatus, militia movement mentality with the UFO alien abduction conspiracy theory. And that's still with us.
But let's face it, Bryan. Today, that sells. Follow the money. There is money being made by the people who write the books about government conspiracies and cover-ups. There is money that is being made at these exhibitions and these symposiums and these lectures around the United States and everywhere else. You know, David Icke has just released his film, for goodness sake, that's coming up. There's big money in ufology. There's big money in the paratourism industry these days. I think there's more snake oil being sold today within the UFO community than there is any credibility.
Well, this is very interesting. I think on the one hand, someone like David Icke is a very special case.
He's a wingnut.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes. I just mean in terms of his commercial success.
Yeah.
That's all I mean.
Well, Stanton Friedman. Stanton makes a killing.
Did he make a killing?
Oh,
he's retired now.
Oh, he's making a killing every time he's flown places. He's put up in hotels. He's his accommodations and his meals are paid for, and he gets a speaker's fee.
Well, you see, granted that there are people like that. Mm-hmm. I also, as you know, am a poet. I know the Canadian literary world, and for every Michael Ondaatje, there are thousands of people struggling and working other jobs to pursue their art. And I think it's very much the same in ufology for those who make some money out of it. What's more interesting is it as a kind of social movement. What is interesting, I'm reading Kripal's and Kripal, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Kripal's and Stryber's Supernatural.
All right, we've got to take that break again, so please stand by. Exo Nation, Bryan Sentes is our special guest this hour. If you'd like to find out more about Bryan, visit his website at www.skunkworksblog.com. Don't forget the X-Chronicles newspaper is available for one and all online with our compliments at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. To find out all about the X-Zone Broadcast Network and our 24/7, 365 broadcast schedule, go to www.xzbn.net. And around the world on the X-Zone TV channel, on Simul TV Channel 21. I'm Rob McConnell. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by L.A. Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, They conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Welcome back, everyone. Bryan sent us as our special guest. His website is skunkworksblog.com. You know, speaking about David Icke, not only does he have his movie coming out, I believe the trailer is available, and he is going to be hitting the theaters in the very near future. I remember doing my show from, News Talk 610, CKTB in St. Catharines, where I was the executive producer of programming. And I would do the X-Zone from 10 o'clock at night to 2 o'clock in the morning over there. And David Icke was going to be a guest on my show. I had the Niagara Regional Police contact me to see if he was going to be actually in St. Catharines. And I said, no, it's going to be a telephone interview. And I said to the officer, I said, is there a problem? He said, if there wasn't a problem, I would not be calling you. Okay, I said, no, sir, it's going to be a telephone interview. And he said, all right, we just want to make sure. Well, I came to the station about an hour and a half prior to my show, and there was an unmarked police car with 2 police detectives in front of the station for the duration of the show.
Interesting. I do know that he was recently barred from speaking in Australia because of supposed anti-Semitic remarks. Mm-hmm. His anti-Semitism is questionable and problematic.
But he's making money with this.
Yes.
It's his shtick. And
yes.
Earlier you were talking about how hard authors work. And there's, that you've got the odd author who makes it, and then you've got thousands who don't. And my heart goes out to them because I know for a fact there are a lot of great authors out there who don't get the break they need. However, in the UFO community, there are dedicated TV channels spreading their work, creating the demand for these speakers, creating the demand for their books, creating the demand for them to have public appearances. Authors don't have that.
Well, we do, but not in quite the same way because our medium is a little old-fashioned in that regard. Although, on the other hand, just to quickly remark,
sure.
There are some poets, Instagram poets is what they're called, and they publish their work online, and they have sales of their poetry books literally in the millions. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're very rare again, and that's because of a media shift.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, on the one hand, you're perfectly correct. There is this sort of commodity side, right? This commercial side of the ufological, which I have to argue, at the end of the day, it pales compared to the kind of money that Men in Black or
I understand,
in, right?
but Hollywood is all part of the media, and when Hollywood produces something, there's a lot of spin-offs, and a lot of these spin-offs can be found in today's UFO community, like Daryl Sims. Let me see who else can. and people like Sims, and I could go on and on. I've been doing this show now for 30 years, 5 nights a week, 4 hours a night. People say, well, Rob, how come you do your show if you don't believe? I'm looking for the truth.
Yes.
Plain and simple. If it's there, let's find it. If not, let's expose it.
Well, what's interesting for me is that the truth is the social phenomenon.
Exactly.
Right? That's what's really quite striking. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, right, following Jacques Vallée and others like Peter Sturrock, hardcore physicists who've done their homework, there is sometimes some real physical phenomenon at work, which is poorly understood. One can even point to the Hessdalen lights in Scandinavia, which has been studied, but we're no near understanding what's going on there.
Right.
But of course, for me, at the end of the day, what's interesting is precisely the social interest. Why does this sell? Why has this grabbed our imaginations now increasingly in a worldwide way? And even more so, as I was referring earlier to the book by Whitley Strieber and Jeffrey, you know how his name is pronounced? I'm sorry, Kripal.
No, I don't.
I'll call him Jeffrey Kripal. He's a scholar of religion. It's The Supernatural: Why the Unexplained is Real. And Whitley Strieber remarks about the hundreds of thousands of letters he received from people who claim to have had the same experiences that he claims to have had.
But once again, the number of letters that he claims to have received were never authenticated.
I grant. But what is the case is that even a Gallup poll will reveal that most people, believe, right, how seriously or not, that, half of people believe that flying saucers are spaceships from outer space. And there are non-human intelligences in the universe, some of which are interacting with us.
But we all know
this is interesting.
We all know that any poll can be skewed to give any result that the pollster wants.
Okay, now, on the one hand, you're perfectly correct. I mean, if you look at the questions that are asked and the assumptions that are behind the questions, there's a lot of head scratching and brow furrowing that we can do.
Sure.
On the other hand, I think it is the case that this kind of response has been fairly consistent since the earliest stage of the phenomenon, especially in the United States. Europe is a little different, but not that different. And if it weren't the case that these stories were so compelling in their own way, then the ET wouldn't be as ubiquitous as it is.
But we can say the same thing about Santa Claus at Christmas time, the Easter Bunny at Easter, the leprechauns on St. Patrick's Day. The list goes on and on and on. Once again, it's a sociological event that is based on no proof.
Oh, well, why does it have to be based on proof?
Well, because how do you know if it's real?
There's more proof for UFOs than there is for Santa Claus.
Where is the proof?
I'm sorry for your.
Where's the proof?
Where's the proof?
Yeah.
All the stories that have come out over the past decades.
That's not
proof. The photographs, fake or not fake. Yeah. Good question. The will to believe is much stronger for these things. And keep in mind that the ET and the UFO is with us year-round, as opposed to Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, who visit us once a year. As well, them leprechauns, they are, arguably part and parcel of the same phenomenon.
Well, I don't know.
And I'm not the first one to make that point.
You see, I don't buy it. I really don't. As an ex-police detective, I want facts. I don't go on hearsay evidence because anybody can concoct these stories to give themselves a little bit of fame. Hey, Joe, you know what I saw the other night? My wife and I were driving along the shore, lake shore in Toronto. We looked up in the sky and, my God, Joe, there was a UFO. We saw it, Joe. It was round. There were little lights. There were people inside. We saw this, Joe. The story starts.
Well, wait. On the one hand, some people will make up that story for the sake of making up that story. But do you believe that everyone who tells such a story is merely making up a story for the sake of making up a story?
What I believe is that they are seeing something they cannot explain. Therefore, they create their own scenario based on what they're seeing and bring it into the life and bring it into the realm of their reality based on other information that they've heard of similar circumstances.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
What you're putting forward here, ufologists call the psychosocial hypothesis. And it's for this reason that in the 1890s, right, there were strange lights in the sky over California, and people thought they were quote unquote airships. People will see a strange ball of light, and to some people it will be a UFO, other people that might be an angel, other people that might be a ghost, and so on. On the other hand, if you think back to the Fatima event of 1917, when thousands of people all saw an event, all saw something, we don't know what it was, it's unexplained, okay, and the more responsible, I guess, among us would leave it there, so well, it's unexplained. But it bears a tremendous resemblance to what today we would call a UFO event. There was a spinning disc of many colors. There was heat effects. There was what was later called angel hair. And this was witnessed by thousands of people of all walks of life. And it was even photographed. So what's going on there? I don't know. Is it someone from the Pleiades pretending to be the Virgin Mary? I don't think so. But there's something happening there. And those are the really interesting cases. And it's at the end of the day that those of us who, look into the history of the phenomenon, we have to come to some conclusion that, there's something going on. We don't know what it is. What is interesting for me is precisely what you pointed out, is the way that we interpret it according to a certain frame of reference. And that frame of reference is what's so important to me, right? Because it's this assumption that there's such a thing as quote-unquote intelligent life in the universe. Intelligent life necessarily develops a technology just like us. So what we have in this sort of interpretive frame is this projection of our own value system.
All right, stand by. I've got to take my final break. We'll be back on the other side. Exonation, if you'd like to get more information about our guest this hour, visit his website, www.skunkworksblog.com. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. And if you'd like to check out the broadcast schedule with the other great shows we have on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.com. I'm sorry, xzbn.net. And for all the programming that we have available for you on the X Zone TV channel, go to Simul TV, check out Channel 21. We'll be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone with our very special guest this hour from the beautiful city of Montreal, Quebec, Bryan Sentes. Don't go away. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
SIMULTV.com, sonny boy.
SIMULTV.com.
SIMULTV.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
SIMULTV.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. SIMULTV.com.
Bryan Sentis is our special guest. And first of all, Bryan, I want to thank you ever so much for coming on the show. I have thoroughly enjoyed our hour together, and I want to thank you for the great work that you do.
Oh, thank you very much. I enjoyed it very much myself so far, indeed.
So far. No surprises. Listen, Bryan, is it possible that why ufology is so predominant these days is because people have lost faith in the established religious philosophies that have kept them going for so long?
Oh, that's a very, very interesting observation. Here in Quebec, where I think you were raised here, if I remember correctly.
That's right, yeah.
You remember there was this thing called the Quiet Revolution. Quebec used to be dominated by the Roman Catholic Church until the 1950s, and then it sort of threw that off. And now it's a very secular society, but it's also the province with the highest number of new religious movements. And perhaps the same thing is going on in general, as you point out, that the UFO as a kind of transcendent image, as perhaps carrying euphonauts who come from more advanced civilizations that have gone through the problems that we are suffering right now. They're coming to give us answers that we need. They're something supernatural, although they're technological. And so surely it is the case that with the sort of loss of traditional religions, although that's even debatable at a certain point, but you're right, with the kind of more secular society we have in the so-called West, UFOs certainly serve a religious function in that way, either in the kind of the New Age way that we had with George Adamski and so on in the 1950s with the Space Brothers, these tall blonde dudes coming out of the flying saucers. Or with sort of people like the E. SETI, with James Gilliland and so on, or Stephen Greer too. There's a weird sort of mixture of sort of New Age spirituality and UFO paranoia conspiracy theory. It's a very, very interesting and heady mix. But at the end of the day, notice that we're simply projecting what we think we are beyond where we are. In other words, this has been my thesis for years now. The flying saucer is something technological, is a sign that technology will solve the problems technology leads to. And that I find a deeply problematic and deeply disturbing assumption.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're ending up with a kind of a sense that, well, if it can be done, it will be done.
It also brings you to the point where I believe that humans are realizing that, hey, we're expendable.
In what sense?
Well, computers are going to take over. You've got artificial intelligence. You've got robots taking over the manufacturing industry. You've got ATMs taking over the banking industry.
Well, it's true. I sometimes think the banks should pay me for doing the teller's job.
That's a good idea. I'm going to vote for you.
It is. The Raelians, they have a kind of a political arm called Paradism, I think it is, and they embrace automation. They think that robots will do all of our work, and we will be given a wonderful world of leisure and paradisal material wealth resulting.
Yeah, well,
See, it's funny. I teach college, and my students, they're young people. They're 18, 19. And I ask them, why does technology change? And they say, well, it just advances, as if it's like the seasons changing. I say, no. You know why it changes? Investment. Technology is not something out of our control. it's something that, and we were talking about this earlier when it talks about making money.
Yes.
Let's talk about Bill Gates. Let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg.
Big time.
Let's talk about Google and DeepMind and AI. Why are these things being developed? Money. Money's going into it for the sake of money. And I think this is what gets occluded, dangerously so,
Well,
in the imagination of the UFO.
Well, look at GM. Their profits soared as soon as they went to robotics and got rid of the manual labor.
You know, it's funny. That has been a problem since the Industrial Revolution. You might remember there were these people called the frame breakers in the 18th century. And they were called frame breakers because they were the people who used to do the weaving, and they were put out of work by the power looms.
Yep.
And they would break into the factories and break the frames of the power looms. So automation has been a problem for a long time. You know, we don't mourn the fact that there aren't any typewriter repairmen or VHS repairmen anymore. And often it's the case that new jobs open up when old sort of manual jobs fall away. It's just that now things are happening so quickly. With globalization, things are exacerbated in a certain way. And so we're a lot more uneasy about automation, especially as it moves into, say, the newsroom, right? There are AIs which can write very, very simple sports stories now, for example. And people in the humanities, people like lawyers, for example, are like AI because it can help get rid of a lot of the drudge work that goes into it. But on the other hand, what happens to the people who want an articling position in a legal firm? So it's a persistent problem. I guess we'll have to ask the people from Zeta Reticuli or the Pleiades how they solved it.
Two things. Number one, what is your opinion of Roswell? Give me an idea within 2 minutes, because I wanted to get you to read us a poem.
Oh, well, I don't know if I can read you a poem about Roswell, but I can read you a poem about flying saucers.
All right, read us a poem about flying saucers, then I'll ask you about Roswell.
This is from the Work in Project.
All right.
Work in Progress. Okay, flying saucers. Tuesday, 3 p.m, the 24th of June, 1947. Kenneth Arnold of Boise, rescue pilot, businessman, deputy sheriff, and federal marshal, U.S. Forest Serviceman. At 9,000 feet, crystal clear conditions, alone in his call air between Cahalas and Yakima, an hour's detour searching for a lost transport. Out of the blue, a flash like just before a midair crash made him look left, north of Mount Rainier, to see at 90 degrees, 9 seeming jet planes in a V pointed south. The echelon vaguely bobbing and weaving, flashing reflections, 24 miles off, against Rainier's snows tailless, flying the nearly 40 miles between Mounts Rainier and Adams, 3 times the speed of sound. The first crossed the ridge bridging the mountains as the last came over its north crest 5 miles back. 9 crescents needing to be half a mile long to be seen, flying that fast, that far away. So smooth, mirroring sunlight, like speedboats on rough water, wavering information, like the tail of a Chinese kite, wings tipping, flashing blue-white, each like a saucer skipped over water. A little faster than I normally read it, but we only have 2 minutes, so.
Yeah. Thank you very much for reading that. And where can
Thank you.
where can people get copies of your book?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, you can go to Amazon, but I'd prefer you go to my publisher. It's DC Books. Amazon is evil. They use slave labor. Go to DC Books, or you can Google Poeta Doctus, Poeta Doctus. That's my poetry website, and there's a page there with links to all of the books I've published. Grand Gnostic Central is the name of the book with that poem, and there's another book with some UFO poems called Ladonian Magnitudes, and they're both from DC Books here in Montreal.
Quick question: what is your opinion of the alleged crash of a UFO in Roswell, New Mexico?
I think it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful myth, and I love the fact that it's Rose well. And there's a wonderful expression called sub rosa, which goes back to the Rosicrucians. So no, I think it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful myth, and it's part of this what Jung called a modern myth of things seen in the sky or that crash in the sands of New Mexico.
We've got about a minute and a half left. What are your final thoughts? What are your final words to the worldwide X-Zone Nation tonight?
Oh, well, I would say, oh boy, that's a tough one. I would say, come to my blog, Skunkworks, skunkworksblog.com, because there I'm actually able to sort of set out these ideas in much more detail and with other links to sort of more pertinent information. I think the phenomenon is very, very important. Mm-hmm. It's as important as it is marginal and weird and far out, and it points to what's at the center and the heart of our society in ways which are very, very informative, illuminating, and distressing.
As I said earlier tonight, my friend, it's been a wonderful experience having you on the show. I would love to have you back on in the future so we can discuss further topics. But for now, you and I must say so long. Before we do, give our listeners your website again. And why did you call it Skunkworks?
Oh, Skunkworks is, of course, where Lockheed works on its. That's why I called it, because it's a work in progress.
I see.
Right, just like Lockheed.
And your website, one more time,
is skunkworksblog.com.
Bryan, take care of yourself. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to the next time you and I meet here in the X-Zone.
Indeed. À plus tard.
À plus tard.
À la prochaine.
See, so X-Zone Nation will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, if you'd like to find out more about our guest this hour, Bryan Sentes, visit his website at www.skunkworksblog.com. Are you a skeptic or are you a believer? Send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. I'm Rob McConnell. I'll be back on the other side of this news break. Don't go away. If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Elie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.